Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by this quarter's sponsor, Playground, the all-in-one childcare management software. We're all about managing monkeys and saving you time at your center. With this platform, you can. We're proud to partner with a team that's as committed to your success as we are. Learn more at tryplayground.com. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Well, today we have Cindy Morgan joining us from One Place. And if you have ever struggled with getting your staff to follow guidelines, checklists, keep things in compliance, whether it's minimum standards, above minimum standards, you name it, we've all had it. We've all had those staff who are awesome. We've all had those staff who want to be awesome. And then we have those staff who, well, let's just say, Cindy, they're warm bodies, right? So today we are going to have a conversation a little bit about compliance, a little bit about different tools that you can use. And I think Cindy and I might even have just some discussion a little bit about what are the issues to getting the needle to move.
Yeah.
So with that, Cindy, tell us a little bit about who you are, what One Place is, in like, I don't know, maybe a minute or less.
Okay, so here's who I am. I started my career. My career has 100% been in the childcare sector. So started my career way back in the 1980s, running childcare businesses in California. And I will say I was a very young business owner that knew absolutely nothing. I knew how to run a classroom. I knew how to, take care of children. I didn't have any of the business savviness. There were no entrepreneurs in my family or my immediate neighborhood. And so one day I had a panic attack in the middle of the night and realized I had all these people whose mortgages and livelihoods depended on me, and I did not have an MBA. And so I kind of panicked and thought, this is irresponsible of me to be running these businesses when I really didn't have a background. I didn't have a network. I didn't have anybody. It was just me. And so I kind of took a step back. I offloaded my team members to other centers. So I found them all jobs and found my families all homes at other good quality programs, and took a breather and said, I'm going to do something else for a little while until I can, really be sure that I'm doing the right thing. And to be honest, I'm sure that there are a lot of business owners out there right now that probably have those sleepless nights and those panic attacks because you are responsible for so much. But then what happened was I migrated over to the world of the nonprofit sector, and I grew a very large nonprofit organization sponsoring all my friends and colleagues on the food program. So I became a regulatory nerd, and basically I read regulation morning, noon, and night and interpreted them and turned it into common language so people can understand them and comply with them. And then I helped them to build the systems that help them to comply. And I will tell you this, the same thing is true today. It's really the thing that I love most is connecting people, helping them understand what is expected, and then helping them make continuous improvement along that journey. Because you're right, no one is ever going to be 100% in compliance. And I like to use this analogy. Even your best dentist doesn't floss his teeth morning, noon, and night. He just doesn't, okay? Nobody is perfect 365 days a year, right? But not everyone is also what I would call a seat warmer. So if you think about your teams, in your teams, you have those high echelon people who are performing at a very high level, who want to get everything right, who are passionate. They can tell you why they're there. They love your program. They are on fire, and no one's going to persuade them any differently that they aren't exactly where they need to be and mission driven. And that's about the top third of your personnel. Then you've got kind of your steady eddies in the middle, and they're there for the paycheck, but they're not really mission oriented, right? Like they're there, but they could be tipped kind of to either direction. And then, as Whaley Chong has taught us all, you have those seat warmers, the last two on that bench, right? That are the negative Nancy's who are whispering into the ears of everyone else. Now, your top performers, They don't care. They're bulletproof. But your middle of the roads, if you can't help them to see how they fit into your business and how that is good for them and that they're having impact and that they are progressing in improving along the way, they will become that negative Nancy. So you really want to pour into your staff because they're what keep your families there, right, Kate? So you want to pour into your
Absolutely.
staff and help them see their own impact in the business and how they're helping. So that's a little bit about me. And then I migrated over to the world of technology and now I just pair it all together. But like you, Kate, I have a passion for these folks because I was them and it's hard and it's lonely. And you got to find your network. You got to find your people.
Well, I think you just talked into, I mean, I think right there is about 3 episodes all in one, because we absolutely could spend time talking about how important it is for not only the directors, but the owners to find their tribe, or their group or their network or their community. Call it whatever works in your mind, right? But the other thing that's really cool is that you not only did you take all of these experiences and you've brought them now to something like into technology that you work with. So you are not the founder of the technology, but you do run North America. So I do want folks to understand that this is a global program, lots of experience in other countries, and you now lead North America for One Place. And that what I love about One Place, and so I know Cindy hasn't really given us quite the snippet of it yet, but just think of One Place as your checklist on steroids, and the checklist that works for those folks who maybe don't like a clipboard or find a clipboard a little daunting. And what's great is if they forget something, it kind of nudges them and you as the owner or as the director, their supervisor, to go, hey, I've noticed, according to the dashboard, we've got some problems with our closing checklist.
Yeah,
So
our
tell me
closing
a little
routine.
bit how One Place maybe even came to be. What's the origin story of One Place? And
Super interesting. Super, super interesting. So, it was founded by a man in Auckland, New Zealand. His name is Martin Bing, and he's an accountant by trade. And it was interesting. They actually, one of their first customers was an after school program. And this after school program was struggling to get everyone on the team to put kind of all eyes on safety, making sure that all the little safety protocols that we all have to do, and it really doesn't matter globally where you are, there are minimum standards for caring for other people's children. We all know this and we all want to obey. Everyone wants to be in compliance with those minimum standards. And most of childcare wants to rise to high quality and to accreditation, right? But there's a lot that goes on when you're caring for children. So, in order to make sure that those things get done, they were looking for software to help nudge their people in the right direction and to make sure that they could prove to licensing that they had accomplished the minimum standards on a regular and consistent basis. So that's the origin story of One Place. One Place is global. It's being utilized quite extensively in New Zealand, Australia, the United States, and in Canada. And we're branching into some other continents. So hopefully I'll be making a really good announcement soon. But it's really interesting how much we have in common. So over in Australia, it's really taking off like gangbusters over there because they've had some real issues with some unfortunate events, what we might call notifiable or serious incidents with children. And we've had them here too in the United States, the unthinkable things that happen in a classroom that none of us even want to talk about,
well, let's
or
just talk
serious
about all the
injury.
unthinkable things that seem to happen on a bus
We
or
could talk all day about that. That could be one episode, I'm
that,
telling
that
you.
could be all one episode. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen in the news, right? Child left on the bus. And these things do happen. And it doesn't mean that anyone's evil. It just means that everybody's busy and everybody's focused on other things, maybe at the wrong time. So what One Place does is really it's safer, simpler compliance.
Oh,
So
I love that. What a great I mean, that should be the tagline. That's what all your conference booth and material should just be, that
well,
phrase. Because
right.
one of the things that I know that we talked about briefly was just the component that sometimes we have staff who just, or even ourselves as leadership, we get stuck. We can't move forward. So if it's simple, what would be some reasons why folks don't move forward?
Oh, this is a great question. So here's I think where the disconnect is. Everyone is familiar with center management software, right? Where almost everyone is using it to invoice parents, receive electronic payments, to enroll kids, to take attendance, mail counts, all the basics. What they're not thinking about is the operations side of the business, the daily tasks that have to be done in order to prove that you're in compliance. And I keep saying that word prove. You want an evidence trail. You want date and time stamped photographic evidence that these things are being done on a regular basis. And most everyone has some paper checklists inside their organizations that they use as sanitation checklists or transportation checklists, or like you mentioned, an opening and closing checklist, because we want to make sure everything is ready for parents and families when they come in at the beginning of the day. And we want to make sure everything gets locked down at the end of the day, right? So, the one reason that I think people shy away from moving it into a digital platform is that they don't really talk with their team about what it means and why it's good for them, how it's going to make life better for them. So,
Okay, so we've got owners and directors listening. So let's talk a little bit about how can a director or an owner who sees the importance of this, but maybe they're stalling, maybe they're getting a little pushback from leadership. What would be some real reasons, maybe even tangible financial reasons why this is not the same as all of the other software? Why do they need to take a peek and move it forward? And or how do they bring these people on board? Maybe that's the better question.
do two things. Number one, for owners and directors out there, especially if you're multi site, we all know, even if you're single site, we all know the greatest expense you have is labor. It's always the biggest portion of your budget is going to labor. So never, ever, 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 ever throw a human being at a problem, because if they are spending 10, 15, 20 minutes or an hour doing reports and paperwork, that's time that you are paying them a good amount of money where it could be automated and writing that report for them. That's number one. Number two, if everything is on paper, you are seeing nothing as far, you have no visibility into whether it's getting done, if it's getting done to your standard, and whether or not they're just ticking it off. Now you might say, if you're one of those doubting Thomases, you might say, well, can't they just tick off the questions in the app too? Yes, yes, they can. The difference is you have a dashboard. You start seeing scores of 100% perfect all along for week after week after week. You know somebody is just going through the motions, ticking things. It's very quick and easy to spot those patterns. But more importantly, it's very quick and easy to see your employees performing at one level at one specific point in time and seeing them improve over time, which means you can reward them. You can give them a little gift. You could send them a little gift card. You could have bonuses. Hey, if we all get to 100% enrollment together, we're going to blankety blank, right?
Okay,
So that's
exactly.
one thing.
So
Right.
yeah, but you're an owner and you know this, you've tried to do this pitch to your director. Your director's like, "I don't have time for something new."
Right. Sure. Okay.
What is your response to the director or the owner who says, "I just don't have time for
Yep.
something new"?
Yep. I get it. So here's the thing. They're already doing it. They're already doing all of these things anyway. If they do them in a digital platform, it's faster, cheaper, and gives them more information, which will give them hours back in their day. It'll also help them to see where to spend their time. So directors are in this reactive mode all the time. Everyone is after them. I need this to be restocked in my classroom. I need this fixed in my on my playground. I need I need. You guys call it the monkey on the back, right?
Yep,
You have a whole book about
absolutely.
this, right? Get those monkeys off your back. Have a quick, easy way to keep doing what you're doing. Just bring me your paper and let me digitize it.
Well,
Because once we
I love
digitize it,
listening to you talk about is I have these visions of all of those staff who are like, hey, I need Band-Aids in my classroom. Now that never has to be a phone call or a message or a text to the director. It goes
or
wherever
God
you
forbid, a
go.
sticky note.
Uh,
How many of you are getting sticky notes on your door with, I need this, I need next Tuesday off, I need more construction paper, we ran out of hand soap in the bathroom, whatever that might be. So you by having a system for this, first of all, as they're going through their opening checklist, if they notice they're running out of paper towels in the bathroom, it automatically shoves them into a ticket that is sent off to whoever does the restocking and supplying for your center. No more sticky notes on my director's door about what I need in my classroom. No
Love
more
that.
having to gather it all up, right? No more emails about restocking that I've got to shove into a folder and then remember to send to somebody else, right? So, but even more importantly, let's talk about licensing compliance. Let me just give you some radical information here from just Texas. Just Texas.
All
I've
right.
got
So now, so just for folks who know, because we do have, listeners all over the globe. So she's
Yes.
just giving us Texas. If you decide that you want those numbers for your state, here's what I want you to do. In the show notes for this episode, we're going to have a way for you to contact Cindy. You can also always go into the text us on the show notes because there's always an opportunity to do that. We would love to take any of your questions, your requests for data to Cindy, because I know that Cindy's got it for your state.
I do.
And if you are outside of the U.S., I bet Cindy, if she doesn't have the data for your province, your region, your country, she'd love to go find that research for you. So give her and all those accountants the ability to go get data, because if you're not tracking it, you can't improve it. So, right. So that's the whole data frame. So, okay. So let's talk Texas. So
Okay.
are we going to talk about those compliance numbers you've shared with
I
us
am.
before?
I am.
Oh,
And I think
okay.
we are going to do some really good reporting on this along with your network, because you have a network of people that might be interested in this. So I would encourage anyone listening to this podcast, go put it in the show notes that you're interested in really hearing. What are the most common citations, licensing citations in your own state? Or if you've got a regulation in your state that just seems like, I cannot understand this. I don't know what they want. I'm always getting a citation in this area. Can you help me understand what their expectation is? My goodness, I want to talk to you because I would love to research that for you and tell you. I had a nice lady on a call yesterday and I'm doing exactly that for her. So here, I'm going to just talk a little bit about Texas, but if you want data from anywhere, it really doesn't matter. I've got all the violation data for all the 50 states. I'm happy to even give you a custom built report for just your own centers. If you've got multiple centers and you want to see how you're doing, yeah, I'll have Kate share my email in the show notes and you can email me and we'll create a custom report for you with recommendations about how to get on top of those things and what it's likely costing you. Because even if you're not being fined, because once we start getting licensing violations, most states have some enforcement actions. Most of them will give you time to correct the citations, but if you don't, or if you repeat them, then you can get into an area where you're starting to see fines. And those fines are on the rise in every single state. They're going up, up, up.
Or even if you don't have fines, you might do things like lose quality stars depending on the state.
100%.
And if that doesn't cost you money, I don't know what
definitely
will,
does.
because I
Yep.
absolutely know that will absolutely affect your bottom line. And that doesn't include all the other things that will go up because you have the increase in violations, the cost of getting new staff, the cost of maybe getting a new director and that profitability. And
How about the opportunity cost?
yes,
Because the opportunity cost, the reputational damage, that data is out there publicly. Every single family that's looking for childcare Googles to find out what your compliance track record looks like.
Yep.
They won't even call your center. They won't tour. So how many enrollments have you lost because that public information is out there?
all right. So give us those Texas numbers.
Let me give
talk
you some
about
Texas scary numbers. So between 2022 and 2024, there were 11,450 citations just in the area of personnel. Now, I'm just going to take just this one because it'll scare you, and then I'll go on to the next one. So just personnel. This is
Okay,
only in the
so
category of
what is the
personnel.
what's the percentage? So when you talk about, are we talking like how many citations are we getting in Texas? I mean, for people who
Good
don't really
question.
have a clue,
Hang
Texas
on,
does
I can
have
give you that
about
in one second.
about 5 states worth of child care centers. So we have over
And
15,000 licensed child care programs in the state of Texas.
mhm.
So I just want to
So
frame that because a lot
all
of
told,
states might go, oh my gosh, they have all these like that number is huge. So
yeah.
might
And we're
even be
going to be
better
coming
if we
out with a
got it as a
report that'll break all that down.
yeah. So
So I will just give you this: the
per
total number
percentage
of
maybe.
citations. I can probably get to that in a second. I would need my glasses for that, but I'll get that for you. So 51,194 citations were issued between 2022 and 2024 from the Texas
So
data.
I can do fairly quick math. So basically what you're
You,
telling me is 20% of the
there you go.
citations are related to staffing. Okay. Anything
Okay,
you
so
got
this is
related to
personnel.
staffing
Now,
or personnel? What part
yep.
of
Okay.
personnel?
Now let me give you just some examples from that. Great
Okay.
question. Okay. These are high risk. These are
Okay.
just some examples of high risk. Let's take this one. The director did not ensure the child care center's daily operations were administered in compliance with minimum standards. The director failed by not reporting to licensing parents parents 2 incidents that place children at risk. So all centers are required to report certain child incidents that
Right.
happen while they're in care. So these weren't reported. Another one. Let me give you another one.
How many of those are, I mean, when we talk about
I can't tell you that right at the
oh,
moment. I
okay.
can only give you some snippets, but in the
Okay.
report, we'll break all of that down. So the director is allowing staff to be present with pending background checks. So we all know staff have to have a background check before they're ever left in care with children. Obviously, these people maybe got desperate and didn't realize, or got desperate and allowed them to care for children before that background check had been actually passed. And this was a repeated offense for this particular location. And by the way, I don't want to demonize anyone here. A lot of times, what happens is it falls through the cracks of the busyness of everything going on. Their intention is to get that background check done. Maybe they remembered putting in the application, thought they received it back because maybe they received another one for a different employee and they just ticked it off in their brain. Hence, why you need a system that
Absolutely.
ensures that you're not making those little common mistakes.
All right.
Um,
So these are not necessarily the paper, or are these the paperwork and training, or are these the
no, these
staff
are
reporting?
These are more really related to
Okay.
physically they're being observed personnel infractions. Another one I'll tell you, a 13-year-old was in care changing infant diapers and left alone in a room with 4 infants.
Yeah,
These
okay.
are definite big issues that would give you a heart attack, right? Okay. So now I'm going to go to the second one. The second category has 8,291 citations, and those are around record keeping.
Wait. So now, so again, quick math. So we're talking over 15% of all licensing violations in the state of Texas currently are related to, are you telling me paperwork?
Paperwork.
Paperwork. Okay, I'm sorry.
Paperwork.
If you are listening to this episode, get your dang ducks in a row, and that means get all your paper in a row. You
I
have
know.
no excuse. Cindy
Well,
got the
that
tools. You got
sounds that
other.
sounds good, right? But when you start to look at the guidelines of minimum standards, there is a lot of paperwork. And there's a lot of paperwork from day one all the way through things that need to be done daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. And to keep all of those little details all on paper means things slip through the cracks. Once you
Absolutely.
start automating it with little automated notices that remind you when things need to be done and to remind your staff they need to be done and why, that's where the magic really happens.
I
So,
love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. That is what I'm saying. I mean, we talk about systems. We've had guests talk about systems. You guys have heard us talk about systems, I don't know, probably on 3 or 4 episodes over the last few years. We are also talking about compliance and licensing and minimum standards, depending on, what your state or entity calls it. It's all really, really important. And as you can tell, we absolutely could have Cindy on here talking about just numbers for 20 minutes. And what I'm hoping that y'all will do is jump over to the show notes, go check out One Place, ask the questions, is this right for us? I want to know why it's not right for you. That would be the question I want to know, because I can't imagine anybody who's listening to our podcast where this isn't the right thing for them, because you
Here's the
all have,
disconnect.
everybody's got SOPs. I mean, we get calls regularly from folks who are like, yeah, my biggest to-do list is I keep avoiding writing the SOP. You know
Oh,
what? Have a conversation with Cindy. Let Cindy help you. She might even already have a template that you can go in and use. So with that, Cindy, what is one thing, if you could get this through anybody who's listening's head, this would be the one thing you'd want them to know that you are sure would make a difference in their program, other than, I don't know, taking action? Because we know that's a huge one. But if they're not, how do we get them to even realize that's important?
yeah. I think it boils down to your team is great, right? Like you have all these really wonderful people who are caretakers. That's what they are. They want to teach children, they want to care for children. Probably the owner probably started off their career like me, wanting to care for children. No one likes doing the paperwork, right?
Right.
Find the easiest, fastest way to make sure that that paperwork monkey is off your back. And yes, if you are missing a standard operating procedure and looking for one, I have a network of friends who'll be glad to help you and share with you. We are going to be building a marketplace of really high quality content from leaders within the industry. That's coming soon. We're working on that. But let me give you some examples of these record keeping mistakes. And I guarantee these are all ones that everyone has. Staff records, right? Oh, they're missing a health evaluation. They didn't get the medication permission slip from the parent. Oh, the children's records weren't available for inspection when they got there. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. We're missing a parent's signature on a permission form to go to the field trip. These are such minor things, and software can solve them for you like that. If you're doing them on paper, it's going to take you a while.
So
And
I just want to mention, because we talked about the other softwares, and there's a
yep,
whole, that's a plural, right? There's a bunch
yep,
of other software. And because of tools like API interfaces and other
yep,
direct connections, just about every single platform that's out there, regardless of your country, city, state, um, you guys can make them talk to each other. And I think that is awesome. So don't let the excuse come in, oh, we're using this software. Well, you know what? That software doesn't do this.
right.
None, None, none of all of those awesome pieces of software do this task. Now,
Exactly.
what's great is that they will talk. So when what Cindy was just talking about as far as those signatures, well, the signatures on the other software. Well, you know what? It's going to come over to your One Place dashboard, and it's going to remind whoever is in charge of getting the parent signature that you're still missing one document or one piece of paper or one signature. And
Right.
you know what? All I have to say, and this is just how we kind of generally close, and I'm being Carrie in this sense. So, um, if you learn something new, make sure you share the show with someone who needs to know, and follow us on your subscribe or like or whatever it is on your podcast player of choice. Don't forget to go to the show notes, reach out to Cindy. And if you have to, you can always come to childcareconversations.com and find us and find Cindy through the app. All right. We'll talk to
Love
you
it.
soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Kate.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.